Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Avi, and today I will be playing Arata Satomi +1, probably. I say probably because I'm not sure how long Arata's gonna appear on screen. But with him, the main focus, the main character focus that I am playing is a certain real kind, counselor by the name of Tomomi Masaru. And with me today is my wonderful, amazing friend who I adore very much.
Who is currently holding up an Uno reverse card.
Ah! I'm taking damage!
You're coming down with me, hand in lovable hand. Yeah, hi! I am Fletcher, also known as Fletch, and today I'm going to be playing everyone's favorite troubled baby detective, Camille, who, for once, is actually seeking out help instead of it clubbing him while he's distracted.
Yeah. The normal kind
Character
of help.
development.
God, Camille, you've gotten, like, magic therapied twice, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, in the midst of the Yeddo trip, specifically the night after you guys, the night of the day you guys arrived, there we go, I can words, you and Arata had a pretty interesting conversation, I guess you could say, in which he offered to, take you to talk to, a certain Dr. Masaru. Sorry, I just got, like, a DM and I don't know who this person is. Anyway. Oh, wait, no, never mind. I'll read that later.
We love it when a mystery is afoot. That really wasn't a mystery, but...
Anyway. So he has, taken you today, on a little adventure, through Okushima. We say a little adventure because it's always interesting when you go out with someone because you are very tiny and Okushima is very busy and crowded.
Yeah, it's fine. He's doing his best. He's making do.
And we love you for it. So either Arata is carrying you or you are clinging to his hand as he takes you to a certain office. How you doing?
Let's see. He is... I think he's doing pretty alright. He's, you know, things have been happening. He's very worried over his bro worker, of course, who isn't at this point in time.
Yeah.
But for the most part, things have been okay. He had an interesting talk with one of his dads, but it's fine. For the most part, he's actually one of the more stable people on this trip, aside from the beginning.
Aside from the beginning, yikes. Yikes.
Yeah. But hey, that problem solved. Now he can focus on much easier problems, which is to say, problems that don't have you boy be in a crisis. So overall, pretty alright, considering.
Yeah. Oh, hang on a second, my roommate's trying to talk to me.
Alright. How you doing, audience? You having a nice night?
Hi, I'm back.
Hi!
Sorry, my roommate just handed me a drink.
Fair.
Which is very nice.
Hell yeah. Hydration is very important.
I don't think this is water.
Hydrate or dihydrate and all that.
I'm gonna be honest, I looked at the label. It is in Arabic, so I can't read all of it. But in English, it says malt beverage, non-alcoholic, so... I don't think that's water.
It's still a beverage, at least. That's really all you can ask for. Is it drinkable?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. You're doing better than you had been.
Yeah. He's doing better. He's had his scheduled breakdown, and now that that's over, he can focus on trying to be the emotionally stable person for pretty much everyone else. It's fine.
Yeah, but before you do that, you gotta talk to someone because he said you would.
Yeah. In a moment of weakness, he's asked to have therapy. And now he can't back out, but it's fine. Camille's actually a little bit anxious over that because, that would mean spilling a lot of things that he doesn't really normally tell people willingly. But it's fine. It's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, and I'll leave it up to you on whether or not you're holding Arata's hand or if you're being carried.
I imagine he probably started off holding Arata's hand, but being incredibly small and with Fukushima being incredibly busy, at some point he probably just had to bite the bullet and be carried.
That is adorable. Arata doesn't mind. In fact, he probably carries you through the more, like, highly congested areas, so he doesn't lose track of you, and, like, when he actually gets closer to, where you're supposed to go, he probably sets you down and holds your hand again.
Yeah. He does appreciate that.
Yeah. But he leads you inside, a building. It is one of those, like, shared office buildings. You know, the kind where, like, there's, like, multiple different businesses or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And, he comes to a stop in front of the door, and, he, looks down at you, and he says, you gonna be alright?
Will has probably been doing a bit of thinking and fidgeting a bit, so he sort of startles a bit before he's just, yeah.
You sure?
Oh. If I back out of it now, I don't think anyone's ever gonna let me hear the end of it.
No, that's fair. I don't think you have much to worry about, though. Doc's kind of a dork.
Real sort of just tilts his head and smiles a bit as he's just, more than you, or?
He's a dork in a different way than I am.
Are you sure about that? Because you're pretty dorky.
I've seen this man hit his head on the megaphone. He is pretty dorky.
You can see Camille trying to, like, picture how that happens.
For reference, in Persona 5 Royal, Masaru's only the school counselor for, like, a short amount of time, not the entire school year. So, on the day he leaves, he makes, like, a leaving, speech, and, he does, like, the respectful bow, while he's talking into the microphone, but, he forgets to step back. And
oh my gosh.
hits his head on the microphone. So, just to give you the vibes of what we're going for today.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Camille's definitely trying to picture that before he sort of just shrugs, like, well, I'm pretty sure that you must have eaten shit on during your nightlife at least once.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And, he's going to knock on the door, you hear a voice from the inside go, say, "It's open!" And, Arata's just gonna, open the door and, walk inside.
And Camille will follow, and is definitely taking stock of everything like a normal person would.
Did you roll perception, or are you?
Yeah, I'll roll perception. What is your modifier again? Yeah, that's what I thought you'd fucking say. He did not roll the best, but,
As if it fucking matters.
as if it matters.
Okay. I think... I'm trying to figure out how to best describe this. This is a very small waiting room. There's just, like, 2 armchairs and, like, a sort of, like, desk with, like, magazines on it. But the door on the other side of the room is, already open, and standing in it is this man. Hang on. Please let me copy the picture.
Man, TM.
Man. Discord, please work with me. There we go.
Oh, that is a man right there.
It sure is a man.
Of course he's drinking yappy juice.
He's drinking yappy juice. Okay. He is standing there at the door. He's kind of, like, propped it open because he did hear you guys, like, knock on the door. And, in his hands is a clipboard with, papers that are kind of, they're held to the clipboard, but, they look kind of like they've been put there haphazardly. And just for the sake of clarity, I'm gonna say that Arata at least did give him a, thank you, audience. He is cute, thank you. Arata did give...
He certainly is a word.
Arata's probably, like, given a heads up, so that, he knew you guys were coming. Fuck. I'm trying to find another picture of him because he's... But you do see, behind him in his actual, like, office, there isn't much. There is, like, a couch and a chair and a table between the two, and, behind that there is, like, a desk with a bunch of, like, scattered papers and whatnot, but you're gonna have to get inside if you want to see more. But he does look up at the two of you, and says, what does he say? He says, "Ah, Satomi-kun, it's nice to see you again. And this must be your friend?" And he kind of looks down at you.
Phil gives a little wave and is just a little, very small, hello.
Hi. And he kind of, like, crouches to get to eye level with you, and would you have allowed Arata to tell Masaru your name?
Like, yeah, probably,
Like,
considering.
Yeah, like, Camille. Like, not the other name, but...
Yeah, I figure probably that name.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, he definitely let Arata, tell Masaru that.
Yeah.
Also, thank you again, audience!
We're gonna die because of the audience, huh? And, what does he say? He says, "You must be Camille Christie. My name's Dr. Masaru. It's nice to meet you." And he holds out a hand for you to shake.
And Camille will take the hand, as he's just, it's nice to meet you too.
This is just a friendly guy.
It's just a dude!
This is just a guy. And he's gonna shake your hand and, stand back up and, sorry, hair in my mouth, blah.
No.
Alright. And, as he stands back up, Arata kind of blinks and then remembers something, so he reaches into his bag and he says, "Right, boss said you left this at, Legree." And, he retrieves the book, that, it's the book on cognitive science, the really thin one. And he is going to hand it over back to Masaru, who takes it and says, "Oh, thank goodness, I thought I lost this." And, yeah, he kind of just tucks that under an arm, and, he kind of, steps back to the door, and I think he's gonna look back down at you, Camille, and he says, "Alright, I won't force you to talk to me alone, so if you want Satomi-kun with you, I'm totally alright with that. Is that okay? Just let me know what you want."
Camille will nod at that and sort of looks over at Arata.
And
Because
Arata just kind of shrugs. It's like, it's up to you, buddy.
How dare you saddle him with decisions? Yeah, he thinks for a moment before he comes to a decision and is just, I think I would like it if Arata were to stay around.
Alright. I can definitely do that. and he gives you a smile, and then he gestures for you to come inside. And he says, "Why don't the two of you take a seat?" And gestures for you to sit on the couch.
And sit on the couch he will.
And Masaru is going to close the door, and as he does, I'm just going to carry over your perception from earlier. Yeah, that was a 17. God. That's a 5 on the dice.
If you have me roll again, then it's gonna be worse.
That was a 5 on the dice, and you got a 17 total. Anyway.
Yeah, he's a rogue.
Yeah. It is a pretty basic, looking, small office. Again, there's the couch and the little, like, table, with a bit of snacks. There's, like, a little, like, decorative bowl, but, like, it has snacks in it that presumably, you're allowed to take from. And, behind that is a, armchair where, Masaru would sit, during a session. There's also a desk off to the side. The best way to describe this desk is an organized mess.
Love that.
There is definitely, like, some form of, like, rhyme and reason to how, like, things are arranged, but boy, you get the vibes of someone who has recently graduated from college.
Love that, thank you.
But there is also, sitting on the desk is, I'm trying to think of how it's positioned. I think you would see it. It is a pretty small office. Sitting on the desk is a very small, like, picture frame. And, in it, is a picture of Masaru with a woman who seems to be around his age. But as he closes the door and steps inside after you, he says, "You're free to take some snacks if you'd like. I also have some apple juice if you want."
And he will take the apple juice.
Alright, you get a beverage box. Hello, that's what that emote is called.
They really do. Why don't they call it a juice box? That's so weird.
You get a juice box of apple juice, because of course. And Arata also gets one. Yeah, he would. Arata gets one, and Masaru gets one for himself. And the three of you are now sitting at the couch.
Love that.
How are you feeling so far?
He's doing pretty good, I think. He's admittedly never done something like this before unless his hand was literally forced. Especially not to, like, a stranger, even if technically that stranger is more qualified than the people he's been talking to. So he's not really sure how to go about this, and is sort of just sipping on his little beverage box, while he sits, probably swinging his legs a little bit, because, at this point, the baby act is a subconscious thing.
Oh, that's adorable.
Listen, he very much looks the part of a little kid, what with his beverage box.
The little beverage box.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hilarious that you are not a little kid, but definitely look like one. And then Masaru, a grown-ass man, is also drinking from a juice box.
Such is life.
Such is life.
Yeah. So he is awkward, TM, but it's fine.
Yeah. There's probably, like, a beat of silence, as he kind of, like, lets you, like, adjust and drink your, juice box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also trying to figure out how he would phrase this. Give me a sec. I think what he says is, Yes, he would say this. He says, alright, well, this is, of course, our, first time meeting each other, so, I should say that if there is something you don't want to say, that you're perfectly right with not saying it. Is that okay?
And he gives a little nod. And he's just, okay. I admittedly, am sort of new to this, so...
Oh, don't worry. That's perfectly alright. It's the first time for everything. This is our first time meeting together like this, so really all this is going to be for our first time is just rapport building, you know? Just trying to get to know each other.
And Camille nods at that as he's just, alright. That makes sense.
And there is a bit of a pause as Windows gives me an alert.
How dare they?
Okay, we're good. And there is a bit of a pause before he kind of like settles himself and kind of again adjusts his clipboard. You see him like actually fix the paper so they're a little bit more together. But after he does that, he kind of just lets it rest on his knee. And he says, is it okay if I call you Christie-kun?
Sure, if you want.
Alright. And he gives you a nod. And he says, I probably should have said this at the beginning of the FPS, but I, Avi, am not like an actual licensed professional. Please don't look at this as like an example. Please.
Yeah. You know, you're good.
I had to do this the last time I played a doctor.
Holds you.
I don't know why I forgot. Anyway. And Masaru looks back at you and he says, alright, so Christie-kun, Satomi says that you're from Inkwell, right?
Yep. Around, Bealstown. It's, um, it is just called UPA, right?
Yeah, it's UPA, just spelled weird.
Yeah. It's in the UPA, if you know where that is.
I'm gonna roll a quick history. Yes, he does.
Okay.
I did not get to finish his character sheet because of work, but anyway.
You are valid.
And he says, well, I can at least point it out on a map. And
I suppose that is fair.
and I think he says, what's it like living there?
Oh, exciting for one. A lot tends to happen in Inkwell.
So I've heard.
You
You do see him kind of like hold back a chuckle, and Arata just kind of looks away.
Yeah, you don't have to roll anything. It's very obvious that there's something Camille is holding back from admitting. Mostly because he thinks it'd be a little awkward to spring it this early in the conversation.
Alright, keep going. Does he have anything else to say to that, or?
Yeah, he's trying to find out how to say, he's trying to find out how to say that, yeah, a lot happens. I'm a homicide detective that keeps running into dead bodies on a near daily basis.
Oh dear.
Without actually saying that.
I mean, there is a pretty good lead-in that, we can, like, shift it so that, it's just, Masaru asking instead, so I can just go.
Yeah, he's currently just trying to not admit that immediately, as he's just, you tend to get involved in a lot of things.
Oh? Like what?
Um,
And, oh.
No, you go.
If you're still having trouble to say Arata can, like, just say you're a detective.
That might be for the best because, Camille is 2 seconds away from saying, like, homicide.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Arata kind of just, like, leans in and says, before you can say anything, Arata he just says, Camille's a detective. And, Masaru, God, I play 2 characters at once.
Pats you.
This is the DM mood. Don't worry. And, Masaru kind of, like, raises his brows kind of in surprise, and he says, really?
Really?
That's very impressive, actually. Do you help your, classmates?
Well, I used to, but, I'm not planning on going back to, school next year. I'm planning on switching to homeschool.
Oh. I guess the...
But
oh.
You're your audio was doing the funky thing for a moment, but it's good now.
Okay. Okay. Anyway. And he says, public school wasn't working out for you?
Yeah, it didn't really, mesh too well with... Yes, hi, Iggy.
Hi, Iggy.
It didn't really mesh too well with my lifestyle, and I sort of missed a lot of class, and I also didn't really, I didn't really know any of my classmates too well, so...
And, Masaru, just kind of, nods, and he says, because of, being a detective, right?
Right. And also, I sort of already kind of knew what was being taught, so it was really slow.
Oh. And, I should say that, like, every so often you do see him, like, jot down, like, a couple of notes. That's just, like, the par for the course therapist kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he has just been kind of, like, let the clipboard sit on his leg as he's talking to you. He is giving you his full attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Camille is... He's technically not lying.
He's technically not lying. And
those are all true statements.
yeah. And he says, oh, this is such a funny question to ask, Masaru. Hang on. I can stop laughing. He says, are you repeating a school year? That was a weird voice. He says, are you repeating a school year?
Oh, no. No, I was in the proper year for my age. I guess I should roll deception on the first part.
Yeah.
Because technically he is repeating it.
Yeah. You see Arata just give you a glance through the corner of his eyes.
I mean, it's one part lie, one part truth, because technically he is going to the right grade for his quote-unquote age. Of course you would roll that. Hi!
I don't think he can beat that quite yet. Yeah, no, he can't. That's right. I don't have stats for him. They didn't ever finished. He can't beat that.
I mean, knowing his profession, I would not be surprised if he had like an 18 or so wisdom.
Alright, in that case. I don't even know what level to make him, so I guess I'm making it +6. Alright, whatever. I don't think he gets it this time. Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah. No. You do not.
Yeah. You, Camille, however, see Arata give you a glance.
Camille gives Arata a glance because I don't know what you expect from me.
No, that's fair, but He's got the equivalent of this vibe. Just the colon / face.
He gets a colon / face in return.
Brothers.
Brothers. No one liked that.
So you're in the right grade for your age.
Yep. I just sort of tend to know a bit more than average.
And he does give you a nod, and he says, how do you phrase this? I suppose that makes sense. You are a detective, and a detective has to know a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. So I sort of know a little bit of everything, which makes, it made class more than a little bit boring.
And you see him nod, and he writes something down at this point. And he says, so you're switching to homeschool because, God, how does he phrase it? You're switching to homeschool because you want to stay ahead, in that case.
Yeah, I'd rather be learning stuff at my own pace, and, it works a bit better to not have a surplus of absences whenever something happens.
Oh, I can understand that. And he gives you a nod, and he says, God, how do you... It is so funny getting, like, the exact feel of what he wants to say, but not knowing the words. Give me, like, a quick second.
Yeah, take your time.
And he says... You know, it is pretty admirable that you want to take things at your own pace instead of, with the public system. I mean... Words. Hang on. How does he phrase it? He says, just as long as you have the have the good tutor and whatnot, I'm sure you'll be able to make it just fine.
And Camille gestures at Arata, like, Arata's offered to be my tutor.
Oh, is that so? And Arata, again, just kind of looks away, and as Masaru says, I could definitely see that. Arata, Satomi-kun's always been the helping sort.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. He did help me with a, I suppose you could say, project of mine way back when.
Oh?
Just, something I was researching.
And Camille tilts his head because now he's in detective mode.
I don't think he noticed. It's in character for him not to notice because you are technically his patient right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, Camille just tilts his head as he's just, oh, would it have anything to do with, cognitive science?
And he, blinks, and he says, hang on. This is hilarious because he did just get the book back today, but he says, oh, how did you know about that?
Well, I heard that you were looking into it, and the book that you left behind at Lake Gree was about that, and it seemed pretty simple to put two and two together.
He still genuinely thinks you're 7.
And Camille does smile at Masaru as he's just, I am a detective, you know.
You're a very good detective. I can see why you went into the blah. God. I can see why you like it. Why you like being a detective so much.
Well, you get to learn a lot about a lot of things, and I mean, whatever your project is on, it sounds pretty interesting. I've kind of wanted to learn a little more about cognitive science, actually.
Really?
It seems like a really interesting subject.
And I think he kind of, rests a hand on the clipboard, so it's kind of like, leaning against his knee. And, how do you phrase this? Because he still genuinely thinks you're 7.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious. Again, I love it when we do this.
It's very fun, especially now that it's not really a secret out of character.
Yeah. And he says, "All right, you can ask me a couple of questions if you want."
Yeah. And Masaru does get a big old baby grin.
Of course he does.
As he's just, well, I know that your project is about cognitive science, but what about it exactly?
Well, and you see him pause and kind of dip his head a little bit, and he says, it was mostly trying to figure out how to use it as a means of, therapy. A way to help people, what words do you use? A way to help people adjust with the problems that they're dealing with.
And Neil nods at that as he's just like, right, it's, about reality being what you think of it, right? Or something along those lines.
You're really good at this.
Sorry, just gets the smile in response.
the baby smile.
Yes, the baby smile.
Wonderful.
Listen. Sometimes the baby act can take you places.
Mm-hmm. I think he's gonna take a moment to try and figure out how to put this into words that a 7-year-old would understand. I'm sorry, Camille.
No, that's fine.
He says, well, yes, that's pretty much the gist of it. Sometimes when you're facing a problem, in the perspective that you're in, those problems can seem a lot bigger than they actually are. What I'm hoping to study and figure out is how to help change a person's perspective of their situation so those problems don't seem as big as they feel. That way they can better understand and cope with their situation and hopefully heal and be able to move on.
And Camille nods at that as he's just, yeah, that's really cool. So, you were trying to find out the method to produce that result?
Pretty much, yeah. Do you want to roll an insight? Because I know you love to roll your stinky insight mod.
Yes, let me just get my stinky little dice and... Okay. I apologize.
Oh boy. It's probably a ridiculous number. Not as ridiculous as I was expecting, but still pretty ridiculous.
Not as ridiculous, but yeah. Still pretty ridiculous, all things considered.
A very 26 insight.
Yep.
What does he say? How do I put this into words? Okay. I don't think the word for it is relieved. But the more he talks to you about cognitive science, the more you realize that he seems really happy that you apparently have, like, a genuine interest in it. Like, he does seem happy sharing about what he knows. And what he's researched.
Yeah, Camille does note that. And he can respect that. He can understand how it feels.
Yeah. I pat this man's backstory. I don't know if we'll get to it today.
Probably not. I doubt he's going to trauma dump on a 7-year-old.
Nope.
Thankfully, there's someone else meeting with him afterwards.
Yeah!
It's a pincer attempt. But yeah, Camille does sort of smile at that as he's just, it sounds like you're really passionate about it.
Oh, and you do see him, like, kind of catch himself, and he does look a bit sheepish as he kind of, like, rubs at the back of his head, and he says, it was a very niche interest of mine.
Well, it sounds like it can help a lot of people.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for. And then he kind of clears his throat, and I think this would be a really hilarious way to transition the conversation. Hang on.
Do it.
And, there is a pause as he glances back down to his his clipboard, and he says, you said you were a detective, right? What kind of cases do you work on?
Real sweat drops.
Arata puts his head in his hands, trying not to laugh.
Camille sends a little glare towards Arata as he's just, whatever case tends to cross my path. He's looking away to you.
God, Masaru's not a Toon, but if he were, there would be like a question mark, the Persona 5 question mark over his head.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of obvious that there's an elephant in this very room.
Yeah, and I think Masaru's like, I think he says, this is probably a bit more than just lost items and pets, right?
I guess you could say that I tend to, specialize in homicides. He's sort of like, he's sort of doing the thing where you rub at the back of your neck and avoid eye contact.
This is a 7-year-old homicide detective!
Yep.
Masaru's eyebrows shoot up. And he looks towards Arata. Arata is still trying to hold back a laugh.
Sorry, Masaru, no help here.
And he looks back to you, Camille, and he says, on your own? There is a lot of incredulousness in his tone.
Well, usually the police shows up after a while.
After a while? Camille, you're not helping yourself.
Hi, Masaru. Now you see why Arata wanted you to meet this particular 7-year-old.
Yeah, you see him, like, scratch something out and then write something next to it.
Yeah, Camille just sort of pauses and very awkwardly supplies, oh, it's not like they usually let a 7-year-old onto crime scenes. It's more that, I tend to have the uncanny ability to run into them. A lot.
Oh, God. There is a brief moment where Masaru kind of just, like, lets go of the clipboard so it's resting on his leg in his lap and kind of just takes off his glasses and rubs at his face. And he says, oh, you're a witness to the murders.
Usually, yeah. I mean, sometimes I come in after it happens, but And one way or another, I tend to end up there.
You're not saying that out loud, Masaru.
What you thinking?
He straight up thought, oh, now I see why you're here.
Yeah, Camille hasn't even told Masaru about the whole kidnapping thing yet.
Yeah, no. And this is just supposed to be rapport building.
Unfortunately, this is one of the base building blocks of Camille's character.
And I think what he says... He puts his glasses back on and readjusts himself. Sorry, this was hilarious. It was so great. He says, oh, now I lost my train of thought. Fuck.
No.
He says, so you're a... He looks like he can't believe he's saying this, like halfway through his sentence. He says, you're a witness to the murders. And because of that, you have to stay at the scene, but you end up solving the murders anyway? Am I getting that right?
I mean, he sort of thinks for a moment before he's like, well, it's not like I kind of just accidentally stumbled into the answer. I usually tend to start investigating the moment it happens, and after someone's called the police.
And there is another pause as he takes that in, and he says, so this has been happening for long enough for you to get used to.
Pretty much, yeah.
God, yeah, I don't think he knows what to say to that, but you do see him just, like, write another note. God, Camille, what are we gonna do with you, buddy?
It's probably worse that Camille doesn't really seem that banged up about it. Like, he's recounting it like an ordinary child would recount, like, their school day or having a math test.
God. And I think Masaru kind of pauses, and as he kind of realizes how the way you're phrasing this, phrasing your answers and how you're talking to him about it. Yeah, audience.
Really is. Yeah.
There is so much to unpack here. He says, does this bother you at all?
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm happy to watch anyone die, but I figure that if it was going to happen anyways, I may as well be there to help make sure that the right person is caught. It's not exactly like I conjure murders out of thin air. It's sort of just I tend to end up where they happen.
Oh, no, I'm not implying that at all. It's just a lot for someone so young to go through. Even he kind of thinks for like a split second before he says, even a lot of adults, a lot of adult detectives and police officers, they wouldn't be able to handle that much. Especially if it's to the point where you're used to it.
Well, I mean, I'd rather it be me, someone who is used to it and doesn't get too upset by it, to help than it happen to someone who would be upset by it.
Oh, you're giving me a lot of emotions. Hang on. As I try to piece apart what it is exactly he wants to say. And he says, I think he says, well, again, that's a pretty admirable thing to want to do, but even then, it's not something a 7-year-old should be used to. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I suppose so. And he sort of looks over at Arata because,
Arata gives you like a look that says he's got a point. Okay, what does Masaru say? He says, I think he says, oh, that is such an interesting question. Masaru? You see, Masaru kind of like look back to his notes and then look back up to you. And I think he asks, Christie-kun, do you know if your parents ever got a definitive diagnosis for any sort of I don't want to say mental disabilities. I don't think that's the right term.
Neurodivergencies?
Yeah, any neurodivergencies that you might have?
He sort of just shrugs like, I've always been a little more concerned with my physical health, I guess. And my biological parents aren't exactly in the picture anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up anything sensitive. You see him pause. I don't think counselors can give like an actual official diagnosis. So I think I think he actually says that. He says, "Well, I'm not exactly a therapist. I'm a counselor, so unfortunately I can't give you a definitive diagnosis, but considering the way you've adjusted and reacted to these things, the running into murders, and you can't believe he's saying that. He says, but considering the way you react to your detective work, it might be that there is a neurodivergency you have that doesn't exactly let you see the situation the same way other people see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose it does. I guess I hadn't really considered that much since, well, in Einquell there's a lot of weird things that happen and a lot of weird people, of course, so...
Oh, I don't doubt that, but even so, again, well, tunes aren't exactly common here in Yeddo, but so I am unfortunately going about this as if you were fully real kind, so I'm not entirely sure if there is a difference there to make, per se, but, out of character, real quick, before I say this out loud, would you say that Camille has a bit of autism in him?
Yeah, I'd say probably.
Yeah. He says, Masaru says, considering what we've talked about and how we've started to get to know each other, I would recommend that you might see a psychiatrist about possible autism.
I guess I can look into that sometime.
And you see him pause again, and he says, it's not anything bad. And he does make that clarification. He says, it's not anything bad. It just means that you don't... God, I can't find words that doesn't make it sound awful.
No, that's fair.
It just means that you don't think in the same way that most people do, and that's fine. But if nothing else, having a word for it could help you in the future and help you adjust with whatever may come up for you.
Nods at that. Out of character, yeah, he's not upset by this. It's more that yeah, I sure would look into that if Camille Christie were a real person.
Guy, hang on. Well, see, here's the thing. He's still going about this fully under the belief that you are a 7-year-old child.
Yeah, and Camille's he's not going to play his full hand yet. But yeah, mentally it's like, yeah, no, that does track. Unfortunately, Camille is not real in the sense that most people are.
Yeah. There's not a paper trail for this person.
Yeah, like, there's a bit of one now. Like, he does have a passport and stuff thanks to 420. But at the same time, it feels a little bit, I guess the closest word would be futile, but, like, also not really, to get a diagnosis for a person that technically doesn't exist.
No, that's fair. That is very fair.
Yeah, so Masaru can roll insight if he wants.
Alright. Here we go. I don't want to use this roll.
What was the roll?
I can type.
Yeah, I figured it was either nat 1 or nat 20.
It was a nat 1.
Yeah, no, Camille's totally gonna look into it at some point. Definitely.
I should probably roll for Arata, at least.
Yeah.
He is sitting there. You did ask him to sit there. Alright, that's better.
Yeah, Arata, you can probably tell, especially since you already know that, like, the idea that he thinks differently from others does track with his life experience in general. However, like, again, the whole thing about, like, it would be kind of weird to seek out a diagnosis and go through all of that for a person who does not exist.
He is going to talk to you later.
Mostly because that would be a lot of trouble, and then eventually he would get his body back, and then he'd have to go and get diagnosed again, and go through all the trouble a second time, and he really doesn't want to do that.
God.
Like, it's not anything angsty, it's just like, God, that's a lot of trouble.
Oh, that is fair.
Bureaucracy, TM.
Nobody likes the red tape. I don't even know if that's the right term. Anyway.
Fair.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah, Camille was just gonna go like, yeah, that's fair. I guess I could see that. He does sort of think for a moment before he's just, it would make sense why I did not react to certain things in ways that, were a bit odd to others.
And he, Masaru kind of tilts his head and he's just kind of like in a, oh?
Oh. There's not exactly an easy way to put this. And he... There are two routes he could take. He could either talk about the kidnapping thing, or he could vaguely mention all of the bullshit that went down with Lamong.
Oh, take your pick, flip a coin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll go with the first one, is he's just, well, I did, sort of, part of the reason why I had a lot of absences from school was because, I was a little bit stupid, and I did sort of get myself kidnapped for a little bit.
You see Masaru get this look on his face. Were you an ordinary patient? And if he did not just have the, like, prior conversation he had with you just now, he would be even more distressed. But he's just kind of like a sigh. And he's just, God, he doesn't know how to deal with this, really. This is just like, you sure are a homicide detective who got himself kidnapped.
Yeah, sort of sees that look, and because he's in the mood to dig his own grave, I guess, he's just, would it be better or worse if I said that that wasn't the first time?
I think that would be worse.
Okay, so let's pretend that was the first time.
You see him write something down. Arata puts his head in his hands again.
Sometimes you're a protagonist, and that means a lot.
It sure does. So you got yourself kidnapped?
Yeah, it started off with, investigating a homicide, as it usually does. And I sort of followed the trail and found out some things, and, I figured that, I figured to look into it, but I didn't really inform anyone until after the fact.
You see Masaru give Arata a look, and Arata just goes, he's learned his lesson now.
Yeah, I have learned my lesson. I was very stupid, and it's not going to happen again. I probably had a little bit of a savior complex, but I'm getting better about that.
You see him write something down. You did admit that on your own volition.
Listen, it was gonna be found out eventually. He's working on it.
Oh, God, it's hilarious.
The absolute energy of this.
He's not even a tune, but God, there is an energy here. A vibe, you could say.
Yep. And it sure is being checked.
Yep. Vibe check results in they are rancid.
Yeah. And, you know, he's just... No, Camille, you're not going to make a joke about Masaru writing stuff down.
Please. God. Camille, buddy.
So he's just... I'm very much getting better about that. he sort of looks away as he's just, it's part of the reason why I figured I should seek out normal therapy.
And that's a good thing. I mean, you are getting the help you need.
And Camille nods at that. If you want Masaru to notice, Camille did say normal therapy.
Yeah, and he says... God, it's a funny way to phrase it. He says, do I want to know what you mean by normal therapy?
I feel like if I told you, you'd probably go back to furiously writing stuff down on your clipboard.
That's part of my job.
And he does look over at Arata because one of those occurrences is not his secret to tell.
Actually, Arata, how's this work? Arata gives Masaru a kind of, like, pointed look. And then, Masaru raises a brow and then nods at Arata. And he's just, oh, I see.
Camille's going to squint at that, I guess.
Arata leans over to you and he says he knows.
Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, he takes note of that, nods, and like, so that was, I guess you already know a bit about how that works. That was the first time, and I know that sentence sounds bad.
And he gives you a look. And he says, Christie-kun, a lot of the things you've said in the past hour or so has sounded pretty bad.
Yeah, I suppose so. You've got me there. And he's just, but, right. So, the second and hopefully last time, there was a sort of incident dealing with, the manifestation of my fears in a very literal sense. But I did get what's sort of like an emotional support familiar out of it. So I'm dealing with that too.
There is so much to unpack here.
Yeah, and Camille's going to reach under his cap and dig out spades.
Yeah, you see him lean over and say, sorry, I'm getting DM'd. Actually, give me like a quick second to reply to this.
Yeah, don't worry.
he kind of leans forward as you, like, take your hat and, like, dig for spades. He does seem interested. Is...
It probably looks over at Masaru with both of their little heads and gives a little chirp.
Oh, that is fascinating.
So I figured before a third time happened, probably for the best that I get, regular therapy.
And Masaru leans back and he nods and he says, "Oh, well, I can't promise that you'll get any more familiars out of this, but I am willing to help you in any way that I can."
Yeah, Camille nods and he does give Masaru a little smile as he's just, thanks.
Of course.
Especially now that I realize that most basic facts about my life are apparently extremely concerning to people.
Well, and you see him adjust himself and says, considering the way things are for you, and if it does turn out that you are on the autism spectrum, I honestly can't really blame you for not perceiving those situations the same way ordinary people do. But that's kind of what my job is to help you understand the situation and give you the tools necessary to again heal and hopefully move on. It just might take a while to get there. And he does kind of have a joking smile on his face when he says that.
Camille does return the smile. Oh, thank you for that. I figured it, even if it does take a while, it's probably easier to do it this way instead of having it all blow up in my face again.
Well, I can definitely agree on that. And Arata's gonna pat your shoulder. Kind of affectionately.
He is Pat.
He is Pat. I don't really have much else. Masaru's gonna offer you some more snacks.
Yeah, he's going to take some snacks.
You get, like, I don't know, like, graham crackers? Everybody loves graham crackers, come on.
Yeah, he'll take a few graham crackers. Izzy does...
Oh, continue.
He is debating about, like, you know, because technically speaking, this is all the small stuff.
Hey, this is, again, just your first time meeting.
Yeah.
It was just meant to be rapport building, and you told him that you're a homicide detective.
But yeah, he's definitely mulling things over as he does eat. I don't think he's going to get into the big stuff right now, but he figures that poor Masaru has probably been through enough right now.
Yeah, I think what Masaru says, is, well, unfortunately, that's, all the time we've got today. There is probably, like, a clock on the wall, and he does check that. You've been here for, like, an hour.
Yeah.
And he says, actually, and you see him, like, reach into his, like, lab coat. He reaches into his coat, and, he says, I know that, you're not actually staying in Yeddo, but if there's anything you need at all, feel free to reach out to me, okay? And he's gonna hand that card to you.
He's gonna hand what?
A card. The contact info.
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, Camille will take that card. He's just, thank you. That's probably easier.
And he gives you a very goofy grin. Not grin, but like a goofy smile. Perfectly dorkish for this perfectly dorkish man. He does get up and see you two through the door. But before you leave, I do have a bit of an epilogue for our audience.
Yeah, and I think before Camille goes, he probably is going to ask about cognitive science one last time, though more of like a general question about like, hey, if I did want to look into it more, how should I go about that?
Oh, you see Masaru pause, and he says, well, cognitive science isn't really something that a lot of people look into. It's, oddly enough, some people don't really regard it as credible, but if you want to borrow my book, you're free to.
Are you sure?
Oh, absolutely. I am an expert in the field, after all, and he does give you, like, a very, I guess, playful gesture. He kind of, like, does, like, a mini jazz hands.
There is a bit of a snort from Camille, though he's smiling.
Yeah. And, he does, get the book and hands it to you to take.
And Camille takes the book.
Huzzah!
There's a little da-da-da-da that plays.
Love that.
Oh. It's fine. It's fine, only Camille can hear that.
Same as only Arata could hear the confidant noise.
Yeah.
Masaru does, again, see the two of you out the door. Before, you leave through the waiting room, though, he does seem to, like, remember something, and he says, oh, Satomi-kun, before you go, do you mind if I have a word with you? And, Arata stops and turns and looks to Camille as if to ask if you'll be alright, just waiting for a second.
Camille nods as he's just, oh, I can wait here.
And Arata gives you a reassuring nod and walks back into the office.
And Camille's going to go snoop the moment the door's closed.
Yeah, the door closes. Roll me a quick perception.
Alright. Okay, that's what I fucking thought you'd say, you horrible little bastard. You ready for 30?
Oh, wonderful! That's a modified 30 for the audience. An 18 plus 12 modifier. Disgusting rolls.
What's funny is it hung on 2 for a moment, but then flipped over to 18.
God, love when that happens. They are talking in, like, kind of, quiet tone. It doesn't seem, like, too serious an issue. Let me see if I can find the words exactly.
Fair.
Um,
If you don't want to do a whole conversation by yourself, you can also give the gist. It's up to you.
yeah. You hear Masaru talk about something that Arata has apparently asked Masaru's help with. Apparently this is Masaru following up on that request. And he says something about how this was apparently something that's been developed recently. Some device or another that is meant to be used therapeutically. And Masaru tells Arata about this, and you did get it fucking 30. I think what you hear word for word at the very least, Masaru says, I know you said that he likely won't see a professional in person because of the way he is, and there is a questioning tone to that, but at the very least I could see if I can get this out to you and see if this will help in that way. And you hear Arata kind of like, there's a bit of shuffling, and you get the impression that, like, Arata's kind of, like, shifting his weight, and he says, I don't know, it seems a little intrusive, I guess. I don't know if he's gonna agree to it. And there's a pause. Masaru says, well, even so, it does seem like his situation is not the greatest, and I don't think it would be wise to just leave him alone. At least consider it. And Arata, there's another pause, and you get the impression that Arata's nodding, and he says, I can try to talk to him, but no promises. He hasn't been the most receptive lately. And there is a bit more of, like, the general farewells as you hear the footsteps approaching the door again.
Alright, and for funsies, he is going to roll stealth. Okay.
Oh boy.
He's good at being a detective, but that's a 13 on the stealth.
Arata sure did get a 19 on the dice with his perception.
Arata opens the door and sees Camille very much trying to scramble into a seat.
And I don't think Masaru is there because he did already say goodbye. Arata closes the door, and he walks over to you and he says, alright, you little shit, what did you overhear?
In my defense, you know me better than that already.
I sure do. Stinky little detective boy.
Honestly, you probably should have figured something was up considering how readily I agreed to it. So really, this is on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's, there's pause, and then, but you know what, just for that, and he's just gonna pick you up right there.
There's a little squeak as he's picked up.
And he says, act like a baby, get treated like one, and he is carrying you baby style. Like, on his hip, not letting you down.
He's very much given an Arata!
Nope, this is what you get. This is what you get now.
You're being assaulted with little baby hands.
Oh, tiny hands, my one weakness.
You already used that joke.
And I will use it again!
That's probably a good place to leave it.
Yeah. Thank you, Fletch, for playing with me.
Thank you for playing with me as well. I hope that you had fun.
Oh, I had
This sure had some energy.
Here, there was energy going on here. There was a vibe. And thank you so much to our audience for listening in both now and in the future. With that, we are going to bid you a good time zone. Bye!
Bye!